Should be popping up any second, I hope. Mm.
We're going to bring it back to the basics a little bit today, and we're going to just dive in and we're going to break it down a little bit. So it's going to be a great day of learning and watching.
And what's the nature of
Okay, I think we're live on everything. Welcome, everybody. Can I get confirmation? Yeah, TikTok's up. Yep. I think we are live on all the things. My goodness. Yeah, I've got left. Okay. I'm gonna say it shows it's live. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Move some screens around here a quick second while I get a little bit more organized and ready to go. Well, happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to American Dream Trading's Futures Education with me, Angela. Glad to be here with all of you today. We are going to hit the ground running here in a couple seconds. We'll let some people pile in and we will get started. Let's see here. Yes, we will get started. Thank you to the moderators who handled the training this morning while we worked out some kinks. Not sure who all of you were. I caught Aaron at the tail end there. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, okay. Welcome everybody. It's glad to see all of you. Thank you for coming. So today, again, welcome new future traders to American Dream Trading's Futures Education. I just want to put a special shout out there that American Dream Trading and anyone associated with us is not a financial, tax, or investment advisor. Everything we discuss is for training and education purposes only, and you should not use real money while trading. Okay? We've got a couple promotions, or we have a promotion going on for futures today. It's a super sale. Be excited. If you buy 6 months of futures membership, you get 6 months of free VIP membership. And then just so that you're aware that after that 6 months is over, then it flips over to what the regular price is on our site. And that is what I have for promos today. Again, welcome everybody. I need to pull up another screen here so I can see additional comments and things like that so I can help with answering any questions with additional training. Does anybody have any questions before we get started today? I will gladly answer whatever you got. And I'll pull up the chat too because I don't have that for Zoom. Welcome all the Zoom members. Oh, there's my face. All right, guys. Too many windows. Hello, everybody on TikTok. If you're all new, welcome. It's good to see all of you. Glad to have all of you here. All right, let me get this window open so I can see comments. Okay, great. Wow. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Okay. You guys should see my screen too, yeah? Awesome. All right. Well, we almost had everything. Oh, that's right. Let's see. Any questions so far? Well, awesome. Well, if, like I said, welcome everybody. Want to take a minute to thank our all of the moderators too that pour all their time and energy into help making sure this goes off without a hitch. I would not be able to do it without all of you, and obviously thank you to Coach for allowing me to help him with the futures, the futures division that we have now with American Dream Trading. So if you any of you have paid members, you guys saw that we had a newsletter that Mark so graciously puts together for us each weekend. And I did read it briefly, but it's a wonderful newsletter, and each week it gets better and better. So thank you, Mark, for doing that for all of us. It is a great resource for us to get what we need to kick off the weekend or the end of the weekend in futures. Looks like today we've had some, I don't know about anybody else, but I had a little fun with crude oil this morning. Got in here a little bit when I had the opportunity and did some scalping. Looks like we still have a pretty good run going here. Looks like it's sitting in a channel. So this is a nice little area here. If you're gonna pop in here and possibly scalp this, be mindful that this is under VWAP, so that's 67.92. And it looks like it's channeling between 67.59. So watch these channels if you're gonna scalp. Uh, and then I didn't look to see if there's any news yet today, or potential anything coming out this afternoon. So just be mindful of that before you hop in here and start doing any trading. Pay attention to your resources. Oh, what do we got for questions? Anybody? Anyone got anything? How about anybody in the Zoom? Do any of you have any questions? See if I see some hands up. No? Okay. Let's see. Well, let's do some charting while we look to see if there's anybody coming in here with questions. I know we had some basic questions last week of what to look for and how to chart and when to buy and when to sell. We can cover some of that again if we need to for anybody that's new here. Is there anyone that's brand new to futures and or trading who has never done either before? Anyone? Oh, awesome. That's great. What do you think of it so far? Yeah, it's great. I personally like it way more than shares. And that I don't know if it comes with the fact that I've spent so much time in here the last 10 months, just learning and educating myself on different strategies that we use here at ADT. But I do enjoy, I like that I can apply everything that I've learned here so far and I can directly apply it to the futures. So it made the transition from one to the other really simple for me. Anyways. Someone in on TikTok asked if I do the 2 minute EWO if we do the 2 minute EWO for scalp. The rule of thumb for the 2 minute EWO and scalping is they're two different strategies. So you want to make sure you're super careful that you're not combining the two strategies together. So just be mindful of that when you're trading. All right. Well, we'll just take a look and see what's out there, what's going on out there in trade lands. We looked at what's gold doing. Anybody looking at gold today? I didn't clean up any of my lines over the weekend. How is it doing, Mark? Yeah, gold is nice. I watched a little bit of gold last night myself, and I seem to always cling back to crude oil. That seems to be my go-to, and I think it's because that's the first one I started with. And that was the first one I started watching also. So I like to resort back to crude oil as well. And I did some scalping with that last night too. Got in here and I did clean up some lines last night on where it was at um, when I got in here and did some uh, did some trading in here as well just to get back into it again and get the feel for the week and what was coming. Uh, I do like the trading at night. It's nice. Yes, very nice. Yes, yes. Yeah, this is good. I've actually really enjoyed that. I've been paying really I didn't used to pay as much attention to news because I did more of like the hot stocks. So I didn't pay attention to those little bit of detail. And now I'm finding that I actually enjoy coming in here and watching just before news and then just after and just making some notes of how these charts behave and the L2 behaves when that happens, when those things happen. So it's been an interesting approach. Yeah, I feel like now more than ever, at least knowing when there's a potential for news to come out that is expected is good to know. Uh, for the simple fact of not getting your face ripped off if there's a drastic drop and you're not prepared for it. So yeah, now more than ever, I feel like the news is way more important than what I used. For now, it's way more important now than what I used to give it before, for sure. Yeah, gold is doing exactly what you thought it was going to too, isn't it? Very nice. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any questions, guys? Anybody? No one? That's fine. Oh, let's see. What else we got going on? Oh, lots of fun chart. Check out the Russells. All right. Okay. We'll go over some brief information here, guys, for those of you who are new. So if anybody is on YouTube that is new or on TikTok or in Zoom, some basic information for you guys. The CME group website is our Bible for futures. So I encourage everybody to make sure that you are taking time to go and review the CMA group webpage. For those of you who are in Zoom, I'm sharing that with you now. And again, I encourage you all to go over to that website and just get familiar with the information that they provide. There's an education side. It houses news events and how it might impact the day, and you can look at that in advance, so you can kind of gauge like time periods throughout the day that you might be wanting to pay attention if you're in a trade, or if you want to just sit and watch how those news events will affect the trade that you potentially would be in. If it's something that you watch, gold, agriculture, whatever, it doesn't matter. Metals, you name it. So utilize that site for education. I encourage all of you to go through there and write down some questions you might have, and then bring them here or put them in the futures lounge, so we can drum up content for all of you and continue to build on on the futures education side. In addition to that, I with that, I already mentioned that we have the daily economic release that comes out, so you can find that there. You can also find the hours for futures trading. So when it opens and closes, when that break is each day, all of that information is on there as well. So just remember that there's always that hour break at the end of the day at 5 o'clock. So just keep that in mind, guys, as you are getting in and out of trades. Something else that we get asked a lot, yeah, Apex. So it's CMA Group. It's cmegroup.com, cmegroup.com. Couple things that we cover pretty rapidly or regularly around here too is just basic understanding of the L2 and real-time data. And so we use Webull here at ADT. And with that, you need to make sure that you have real-time data when we are getting in the system here, and you're wanting to start trading. You don't want to do it with a delay. So lots of times we get this question, like, how do you set that up? Where do you go to do so? You have two options for the L2. You can do the first option, that's $11.99. That version of real time will look something like this, and that's the order book L1. It'll give you one line, but you have to have one or the other to have that real time data. I choose to have the order book L2, which I pay $39.99 a month for this, and this gives me 10 lines. I scalp. I'm a scalper, and I do use this order book or the L2 to do some of my trading. So I utilize this on a regular basis. So just know that you have to have one or the other to have that real time data, and that will get you so that you're not on a huge delay. How do you know if you're one of those people who may or may not know if you have it? I can tell you just by looking at my screen that on my quotes or key, I believe it's on key stats too. Nope, just quotes. The L2 uh, box is yellow and it says real time. And you want to make sure that it says real time. Don't get in here and trade without it being real time. you will have problems. So please be very careful when you come in here and do your trading. Oh, what else do we got? Do we got any questions in here that I've missed? I'll go up a little bit here and see. Doesn't look like it. That's okay. Hi, darn cricket. I see a lot of familiar faces in here from in the morning time when we're all in here for the stock education with Coach. So welcome all of you guys. So if I go back to that L2 data, if you use TradingView to do your trades, there is real-time data for TradingView as well. It's $7 a month over there. I also have that as well. And I use all the indicators that come with your memberships here. I use those indicators as well to assist with my trading along with the rest of the group. So we have that available for everybody as well. Another item that is incredibly important, I will put it in the Zoom chat as well, is the futures customer service for Webull. It comes in handy, especially after hours. So if you are like me and there was a point where I got into a trade I couldn't get out of, I had to call the number and get some support to assist me with my what I thought was an error. Not it wasn't on my part, it was actually on Webull's. But they were able to fix my issue. And so they were incredibly helpful. So those of you in Zoom, I put the futures customer service or customer support. You can also go down to the lower left-hand corner under contact us, and you can get a hold of Webull customer support there as well. Just be mindful that in the evening time when futures is going on, uh, it's a little bit slower for them to get back to us right now because futures is so new for them. And they're working on getting some additional support to be able to get back a little bit more quickly, but rest assured they will get to you. So that's another great tool that they give us, and they're, like I said, very helpful, very, very helpful. All right, something else that's important, guys. It, we've talked about this. We'll talk about this over and over again. Just how important with futures. Since futures has it's you have a margin account with futures, okay? And so risk management while you're learning to trade or getting into these trades is incredibly important. Make sure when you're coming in here and you're going to place orders, to trade, what it doesn't matter which one I can't even talk today. It doesn't matter which one you're in or what you're doing. Always make sure you have a stop. By having that stop in place, it will protect you from catastrophic errors and issues that happen if there's a massive pullback in the market. The last thing you want to do is be in a trade and have it go south. And with you not having a stop, you can actually lose more than you actually invested into the contract that you're in. So please make sure you're using your stops. They're very important. In fact, if I accidentally got into one the other day and didn't have a stop, and while my mechanics are fantastic, I in my head freaked out a little bit because I'm like, I don't want to be in this without it. So I made sure that I put a stop in immediately with that set up. And then I went back and made sure that my stop loss was automatic and that it's always on when I'm in here trading. So always make sure you have that box checked when you are trading futures. Looking for more questions? Yeah, so legit question, who is this? You're used to seeing Coach. Yes, you are used to seeing Coach. So my name is Angela. I work alongside with Coach and the entire moderator and mentorship community, and I am in charge of futures education. So yes, I am not Coach. And I tell you, I am not nearly as entertaining as he is either, I promise, but I'm way more technical on the technical side of the trading aspect of it than anything. So um I am a real person, I promise. He wasn't hacked. But I'm here to help train and do all the things for all of you. So thanks for asking. All right. Let's see what else is out here. Let's go look for some trades. How about that? I'm gonna find something to do here. I always start from the top. And that's just how I my top of my futures list, and I want to kind of see what's out here. Crude oil is obviously going to do great things this afternoon because I'm not in it, so that's awesome. And I'm on the 2 minute for the time being. I have lots of lines on here. I'll take them off later and clean this up. But I'm looking at the 5 minute. I tend to find that I like to look at the 5 minute, and I never used to do that with anything, but I like how the charts look. And I've been able to find some good identifiers on some good critical areas uh, to either park myself in a certain spot to get picked up off a support, or as we call it, waiting in the weeds. I do that quite a bit too, and testing out that and making sure that that works the way I'd like to see it. And then I'll go back to the 1 minute to then watch the candles and catch those pops as they go. So like this. I didn't even have a chance to go and clean out my lines and put some fresh ones on here. And I'm glad to see that the lines that are on here are still in good working order. That's my reassurance that my lines that I draw are legit. Well, that's a great question, Mark. So when I'm putting these lines on here, I'm looking for different areas of either support and resistance. So if I were to clear all this off, which I don't want to, I will just hover over some of these and show you. I'd be looking for critical areas. So first and foremost, support and resistance. Support being and as a scalper, I am looking at the general area to which I'll be trading. So I'm going to be paying attention somewhere between the 27.5360 and this area of 27.5240. Why am I doing that? Because I'm just looking for this area. I could go and chart this entire thing, but it's not necessary for what I'm trying to do. And that's just to get in as quickly as possible and get out as quickly as possible. So, what am I looking for support? Well, in this general area, I'm looking for areas where there has been multiple touches in these spots. So you can go back as far as you'd like to. I typically go back until I've gotten what I personally feel like is enough data to support what my end goal is. And my end goal is to get in typically at support and write it to resistance or to a critical area. So that's what my goal is. So I have a line here at this 27.5240. Why? Because we had multiple spots here where it touched. It started to come down. It didn't quite get here, but I still view this as being close enough to give me enough information that this might be an area of which I want to be. And then if you move over a little bit more to the right, again, I see that we have the same thing happen here where it's this general area where it touches down here at support. To me, this is support. So I would put a line here. For resistance, again, I know I have many lines on here. I'm going to break this down into an area in which I want to trade. So I don't need to go clear up to 27.55 if I don't want to. I can have my resistance line be closer to where I'm looking to trade. I would leave this alone and I'd leave the 27.5410. I would just leave it here for the time being as a scalper. I would leave that alone. And I'm just looking in this general area. So if I were to make this my support and resistance, I can then break down this inner piece here, or this grouping between that 2752 and the 2754, and now look for other areas where there's key critical areas that I need to watch for that will help me break down when would be a good time to possibly get into this and trade it. I'm going to get rid of this gold line. Actually, I'm going to just move it up just so that I don't add another line on here. I'm going to put that, I'm going to update that line, and I'm just going to put it right there at the 2753.40. And I'm doing that because it's had another grouping of touchings right here, multiple areas of touching right there. And now I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger so I can see it. You can break this down into a 2-minute, 5-minute, or even further out, depending on how you want to look at it. For the most part, like I said earlier, I tend to go look to see what the 5-minute looks like these days. I just like how this looks. I don't know. I'm not sure what all has been covered today in the training. I'll have to go back and listen, but uh, I I tend to like how this looks. It's so much cleaner, and it just looks nice. I like a good looking chart. Um, but this will give me an overview in a longer period of time of what it's potentially going to do. So I'll come over here to the 5-minute, just glance at it before I go back to the 1 minute to observe a little bit more closely where there's a bit more movement. So for those of you that are watching, got the difference between the 1 minute and the 5-minute. Thank you, Chris. Let's see. Yep, so there's the 5, there's the 1. But yeah, no, I'll be sitting here watching this to see what it's gonna do, if it's gonna break that 2753.40 or if it's gonna continue to drop down, which looks like it's gonna continue to sit in the channel. Oh yeah, MA 200. Yeah, right here. Yes. Yep. Yes, Z and K, you can use Turbo Trader on the futures. I do use it. So I use both. If I'm waiting down at support, I'll adjust a limit order, and I'll put a limit order down where I want it to pick me up or potentially pick me up. And then if I'm looking to get into a quick scalp, I will do the market. I will do the market order. Yeah, I do love I do love to scalp channels. When you can get into a good rhythm and the chart itself shows that there's good support to do so. You can, I mean, I've sat in a channel, I think it was Friday. I sat in a channel for almost an hour going up and down, and you can make pretty good profits doing that if you understand how the channels work. And I use the L2 to help support uh, the chart alongside it to assist me in making sure that I was getting in and out of that channel properly, and not having a significant loss. If an order were to come in there, that would deter me the opposite direction to which I was going. So you get really good at it with all the screen time. And I spend a lot of time in front of the screen. So um, it's really simple to, once you get the hang of it, you can get in here and practice it for sure with paper trading first and figure out how it's going to work for you. Always paper trade first. Make sure you got your mechanics down. Don't get in here with real money. You don't want to blow up your account. Um, but yeah, so Mark, you're still paper trading, right? That's awesome. Good for you. Absolutely. I agree with that. Um, Ulger, yeah, so I can explain paper trading for you. That's not a problem. So paper trading is just a simulation trading, right? Or trading. And what that is it's a, I'll show you here in just a second. What it is it gives you the opportunity to go and learn how to do your mechanics on the trading side of things without using real money to do so. So, let's see. I'll pull it up on the screen for you and show you what it looks like. It's looks like my screen's super slow. I'm not sure why, but so I've pulled up the uh paper paper futures just to show you just real brief. I still have one running in here that I left from last week, which I don't normally do, but I left it alone just in case I have to show something. But so this is paper trading on Webull. It's a great, like I said, it's a great resource to be able to come in here and work on your mechanics. So can we go over to uh, where's gold? So if we come over here, over here to gold, this is what it looks like. It's basically the same, basically, kind of, not really, but it, the whole point of paper trading is to help teach you your mechanics. So the nice thing is you can come over here and you can chart just like we do over on the real money side. So I'll just throw a line here just to show you. And I have keys set up to do this too, but I still find myself going back and doing it the old-fashioned way. So I'm just going to throw some lines on here just to show you. Right. So throw some lines. You want to get in, say you want to get in and do a simulation trade. You can do a couple different ways. You can go under Turbo Trader, which it doesn't work over on the futures paper side. I did find out that this is coming, hopefully in the next couple weeks. I did find that out. So that'll be a great feature for all of us to use for practice on the trading widget. So if you want to come over here and place an order, I'll just throw one on here just to show you how this works. Say you want to buy it here at this 27.54. I mean, I wouldn't, but if I was going to maybe line this up a little bit and make a decision on maybe getting in a trade, let me throw a couple more lines on here. I'm going to throw one here at 27.52.50. We'll break this down a little bit further. And these are just identifying some critical areas. I'm going to change this to 2 minutes. As you can tell, I don't paper trade that often anymore. I real trade now. So I broke this down to 27.57.60, and then 27.52.50. I'm going to make this different again. We're going to look at the 5. And I'm going to put the line here at what is that, 27.55.40, just so that I can break it down a little bit further. So it's in a nice channel, obviously. I'm going to bring it. I'm still on the 5-minute. I'm very aware of that. I don't have all of my indicators over here, so I'll have to fix that. I think I was supposed to do that last week and I forgot. That's okay. I don't absolutely have to have the indicators, but we'll call this up here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the 1 minute and look to see what it's doing over here. So if you were going to get in this, I'm gonna look to see if I can just hop in here just for a quick scalp. This is the paper trading side, and I'm gonna give it a second here and kind of see what it's going to do here off the 5. I noticed I don't have an L2 over here. Let me add that. Yep, so I can look at this and kind of pick and choose how I want to handle it, right? Like I could go and wait down at support if I choose to. If I were to do that, I could go. So if I use the L2, somebody asked if I could explain how I use the L2. So I've spent hours upon hours, months upon months, uh, doing this with the L2. In fact, I gotta change. Let me change my paper trading to support this. So hang on a second. Um, to what the margin is. That way we can keep watching it since this is a um, simulation. So let's change this to like the rule of thumb, like if you're going to paper trade as you're learning, set your paper trading account to the account size that you're going to be trading with real money. But today, for the sake of training, I've adjusted it so that I can just stick around in here with gold and just kind of use this as a training tool. So just always, if you're going to paper trade, just change your paper account detail to what supports the account size you're going to go into our money with. So if I'm going to use the L2, there's a couple different things I could do with this. So I typically like to, if I'm going to come in here, I'm looking for on the bid side a good opportunity to pop in here and just wait. And so we call it waiting in the weeds, or waiting at support, however you want to look at it. And the idea is to sit in the trade just above where you would get picked up on support. So 27.53.40 is support. Why or how do you know that? Well, we pay attention to this graph that goes across here. And that's how we tell where to potentially sit. So if I was going to do that, let me change this to the limit so I can adjust the time or adjust the price. 27, let's see, 27.53.40. I want to sit just above this because the idea is I want to get picked up before everybody else. Let's see if it, I notice that it doesn't like to, oop, it doesn't always like to catch it when I update it. It's 27.53.50. I'll just type it in. 27.53.50. And we're going to simulate that. And so what that is that's for me currently, but this is telling us that this is like a support area. So it put me down here. So the thing about doing it this way is it will teach you patience, right? So if you're wanting to get in here and you just got to get in, you got to do a trade, whatever, this is not really the best way to do that. Because you could be sitting here for a long time waiting for this to come down and pick you up. And we know that from doing this in the pre-market, but in pre-market on the stock side. So you can sit here and wait for it and see if it comes down. Don't the disclaimer to this is don't leave it alone. Like you need to still be paying attention to it. So if you go and you look at other contracts, then you could still get picked up, and you need to be making sure you're paying attention to the orders that you're sitting into. I've ran into it where I've accidentally clicked on a few waiting in the weeds or waiting at support. And next thing you know, all 3 or 4 of them are going at once. And then you are freaking out a little bit because now you're trying to manage 3, 4, 5 trades when you were just simply just being patient and waiting for them to get picked up. So this is one of the things with waiting down here in the weeds. You may get missed, or it could come down and slip just above you yet. But the thing is you can always come in here and adjust this. So for me, like knowing that it's going back up, I would cancel this order and I would reset for a new opportunity. Or you could sit here and wait to see if it's going to come down and get you. It's really just your own personal trading style on how you'd like to approach it. Yep. Yep. You sure can. Yeah. I'll move it up here in just a moment and use it for a next piece of training. See what it's going to do here. We have a resistance level up here at 27.55. Yeah. Is the audio not very good? Oh, okay. I suppose I got to keep talking for that to be helpful, huh? Oh, shoot. Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, we can review and I'll make adjustments. No problem. No problem at all. Yeah, so you see guys, the L2, if you didn't pick us up, fine. Okay, great. You can move it up if you choose to. I'm going to just close this out for now and I'm going to reposition myself. And we do this with paper trading, right? You want to make sure you get your mechanics down. So I'm going to move this up a little bit for the sake of training. 75, 70, 2754 maybe. Let's see. We're going to move it up here just for the sake of moving it up. 2754.70. Let's see if it comes down and gets us. Otherwise, I'll move it up and I'll show you how to maneuver it here a little bit too. I need to get those indicators back on here. It'll be fine without them. If you're looking over there at the L2, if you notice, 2755.40 is a major resistance line. And if you see over here, we had already put this up. We had already put this line up over here. And so you can tell over time, you can see that these two work, the L2 and the chart work side by side with each other. And I do a lot of analyzing of the L2 in the charts. And so I test this all the time, even on the future side, just to see and be able to identify how it works. So I pay close attention to it to make sure that it works exactly how I'm expecting it to. And then that'll help me get in and out of trades as well. I'm just waiting to see if it's going to come down and grab me. If not, that's okay. Patience is always key, guys. Don't ever make a trade out of something that doesn't exist. It's a fast track way to get your face ripped off. Anybody else who has paper trading questions? Currently, Turbo Trader does not work for paper trading. Just be very aware of that. And if you come in here and you've been paper trading for a while and you ask the question, so if you're part of the trading community, the American Dream trading community, and if there's ever a question where you ask anyone, well, how do I know when it's time to go from paper trading to real money? My rule of thumb is, and I think all of us can agree, that if you are questioning, if you are ready to move over to real money, that's the best indication that you are not ready yet. Keep paper trading. Before you ever go over to money, you should be able to do the mechanics that are necessary to get in and out of a trade successfully without question. And you should be able to identify when you should get in and when you should get out, etc. So you need to make sure that you understand fully what you're doing before you ever get into a real trade. Now see, I've just got picked up here on gold, and that's awesome. So what I'm going to typically do, right, because now it's picked me up, but I wasn't paying attention. So I need to actually come over here and I use the L2. So always disclaimer, I'm using the L2. And I'm looking to see if there's a possibility that this is going to drop down before it pops back up to the upside again. And because that's always the case. It can happen if you don't sit here and watch it religiously. So that's what I'm watching for over here. The second thing I'm paying attention to is when you are trading future contracts, there are fees that are associated with each transaction. So when you buy a contract, this one, it says it's $1.45, and then when you sell it, it's also going to be $1.45. So we are in this. Let's see what it's going to do. So I got picked up at 27.54.70. And I'm going to be watching this really closely. So I don't have all my indicators on here currently, but I'm looking for a pop here. I'd like to see this come up to 27.55.40. That's kind of where my goal would be, to get out of it completely if it pops up that direction. I can come over here to the L2 and look at the same thing. I can tell just by looking at the 27.55, where'd it go? 27.55.30. It could pop up that direction. So I'm paying attention. If this was a real trade, I most likely would have adjusted this according, but I wasn't paying attention to it. Because this tells me right here that 27.54, that there's a good chance it's going to come down to that whole number before it potentially pops back up. And then I get asked this question a lot. Well, how do you know that? Hours and hours and hours of screen time. Something else on the paper trading side that's different than uh, the regular real money side. You have to come in here and manually set your stops. So I don't currently have a stop in here, which is like the number one biggest no-no, right? Like you're supposed to always have stops. I'll show you how to put a stop in here in just a moment. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see this have a huge drop so I could show you just how quickly this drops and why it's important to have one. But I don't think it's going to do that. It could, I guess. Looks like it might. 27.54. Waiting to see what this is doing here. Gonna do. See, this is why you have a stop, because it could keep going down, and you don't want to have that happen. You don't want to lose more than than what you earn. See, look at that. It's dropped $40 just like that. It's crazy. So it's important to come in here with stops. Okay, so I'll show you how to put a stop in here manually on the paper trading side. So you go down here to close position. I believe it's close. Oh, I think it's this one. Yeah. And you'll come over here to, let's see here. I have one. Market, put in your stop, and then your price that you want it to stop. Now, I am going to make this really far down because I will move it up according. Let's see. Let's just put it down here at the 27.53. 275. Let's get it in here. Okay, so here's your stop. So you're going to want to pay attention to your stops. So this is not another option for everybody too. When you're coming in here and like, how do you know where to put your stop? Well, I typically have mine at between 15 and 20 ticks when I set this up on the real money side. But for the sake of now, I just put this together. And I'm going to move it up. And I don't have all my indicators up here, but I'm going to put this down here at about, what is that, 27.54, just to move it up closer. Because what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have it too far down in case there's a significant drop, because you'll get picked up. But you also don't want to have your stop so tight that it can't support these wicks. And these wicks, the closer to the end of the day they get, these wicks get a little bit more, they get longer, and the stock starts to get a little bit more volatile. Super, the current future that we are trading on paper is gold, and we are using Webull. Let's see. Dorian, yes, this is American Dream Trading. My name is Angela, and I am the futures mentor slash trainer over here with Chad over here at American Dream Trading. So rest assured, this is ADT. So yeah, so always make sure you have your stops in place. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here and see what this is gonna do. So when you're coming in here, also like right now we're at break even. And while break even sounds really great, oh, well, if it's break even, I can get out. Be mindful that you still have to pay those fees. So that $1.45 and that $1.45 when you got out of it, technically you would actually be in the red. So pay attention to what you're when you're in here, that if you're going to take a profit and be in the green, that you're taking account for those fees. Uh, you will the first time you get in here and you think you break even and you're like, well, what happened? Like I thought I broke even. Well, you didn't account for the fees. I did that one of my first couple times. I do not average in. I typically am going in one, two, three, up to five contracts typically now at this point when I'm getting in and getting out right away. I'm scalping. So I'm not shedding usually. I'm literally just getting in here and getting out of here as quickly as possible. And so what I'm doing now is I'm letting this go. I'm letting this go to the red. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want you to see that it'll stop your stops should work. Now, mind you, on the paper trading side, sometimes these stops will fail on the paper trading. On the real money side, the stops have worked wonderfully. I have had no problem with my stops whatsoever. Yes. Yes, T King, you can use the trailing stops. See, now my stop should have been triggered at this point, and it didn't. And that's a flaw on the paper trading side. See, well, I guess it did. It did finally. But sometimes that doesn't happen. So just be mindful that sometimes your stops will not get triggered on paper trading, but they do on the real side, the real money side. I'm going to throw a line here at 27.53.90. And I threw that on there because it's bounced off this area before. And so I like to keep an eye on this for potential scalping opportunity. Actually, that's a great point, TK. I actually should practice a little bit more with my trailing stops. I'm usually getting in and out of trades pretty quickly that I don't even think to set one up. And something else too, and I find myself forgetting about this, that on the future side, because it's a margin, you can also short the contracts. So I could have switched gears and I could have shorted this all the way down, and I forget. I still to this day forget about it. I'm so used to doing shares that I forget that I can do this. And I actually like to short. It's kind of fun. I enjoy it. when I remember that I can do it. Anybody else have any questions on the paper trading side before I go back to the real side? June, I do only trade futures now. I made the switch. I made the complete switch over. Now that's not to say that I won't do uh shares and options more in the future. But for now, I enjoy the time freedom of futures. I enjoy the fact that I can trade all hours of the day, and I have flexibility now to do so. So I have made the switch. All right, I'm gonna switch back over to the real side. Come back over here. That's that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I like the futures. The first day that I was introduced to it, I was like, okay, this is everything that I was looking for. Something like this would have been super great when I was working full time and I didn't have the time during the day to trade, and I could have done it in the evening. Well, then also I could still do it in the early morning hours during pre-market too. So if anybody's looking over here at the L2, so if you notice, notice these flashes, if you're like me, I will record the L2 and the chart, and I will analyze this and I will watch this to see what exactly this is doing and why it's doing it. Like why I'm always curious as to why. Why is the L2 reacting like it is, and how is the chart itself reacting? I always want to know. I have not. I have not. I know that you can. I am so nervous to do so. And the reason I do that I feel that way is I'm always weary that my stops aren't going to work. And I think if I were to sit in a trade overnight, I would literally lay in bed and think about it all night long, and I wouldn't actually sleep. Now, I'm not saying that I won't in the future, because I do notice, and I've watched some trends happen over the night hours that would have uh, significant profits. But I haven't as of yet. Which futures? Yeah, I don't think I could sleep. Just don't think I could do it. I'd be checking it I would be checking it all the time. Yeah. No, I don't think I could do it. I'm not saying I won't, but I don't need to. I like to think that I'm open-minded with the idea in the future when when I'm ready, right? Like I don't know when that'll be, but uh, it'll come with time, I'm sure. Um, But I've been watching it very closely and have noticed some things. along the way. So, I mean, that's always a possibility. Let's see here. Is it slow in the evening? What futures are good to trade at night? It is slow in the evening. I find that there's some volatility and some movement right at the open. So at 6 Eastern, it has usually there's pretty good amount of volume moving throughout. I've noticed that there's usually a top. So you asked what's been good at night. I watch crude oil. That's been my go-to. And I watch gold in the evening. And so it seems like there's pops off and on in the evening. And it's not always consistent in a certain time. So before I ever get into them, I am paying attention to the trend. If it's channeling, if there's news, if there has been news, or there's potential news at different hours of the night. And then I'm also paying attention to what has the previous like 5 or 6 days, like has there been a spike during a certain time frame? So I've noticed that midnight is typically one that I've seen. I've also noticed the 3 a.m. is another, so I guess it would be 4 a.m. So 4 a.m. is another time I've noticed anytime after 5 and 6 a.m. And then the volatility then picks up and the volume picks up when the US markets kick off. And I personally like to trade US hours. I personally like to trade right at the, so it'd be 4 a.m. marker. It's been pretty good to me. Then again at US market open at 9:30. So then that's like an hour and a half, 2 hour time frame when I can get a good chunk of my trading that I like to do each day before I start doing training um, that I try to get done as much as possible. But I don't discriminate against time. I'll come in here, I don't care if it's slow, and I will just watch. And then if I find a good opportunity to scalp, I'll take it. If I see a setup, I'll take it. I have not watched the euro dollars overnight. We do have people that do pay attention to that, but I have not. Majority of my watch list is the micro e-minis, and I have it set up that way on purpose. I have it set up that way so it focuses more for our members that have smaller accounts. So I'll have that set up that way for our group. And I like to trade like that anyways, just in general. Because when I started for futures, my goal was to grow a $500 account, just as I did when I started with American Dream Trading back in January. And I started with a $500 account and was able to grow that exponentially. And so coming over to futures, I wanted to make sure I did the same thing because I wanted to focus on those. And I see your hand up here just a second. I wanted to do the same thing and grow my account organically that way too. So I've been trading for quite a while now on the future side, and I've been able to grow that account. Last Friday, it was like over 5 grand. So hadn't been doing it for very long on the futures, like the real money side, but have been able to grow it a lot, and very quickly. And I trust my skill and my mechanics. If I could sit in here, day in and day out with the amount of time that I used to have to do those things, um, I could probably grow that account significantly quicker than what I actually am doing now. But got to have a balance, a good work-life balance, and then also you don't want to get in here and overtrade. So I always set a goal for every day, and once I meet that goal, then I'm typically done, unless I have some free time where I want to come in here and do a little bit more digging around to see if I can pitch a couple more scalps. Ken, you have your hand up. And are you there? Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, so let me answer this question. All right, I'm going to fix that question. Okay, so is there real use for that L1? You know what? That's a great question for me because I use it and I use the L2 itself. For me, the L1 wouldn't do enough for me to support what I would use it for. But you have to have one or the other to have that real-time data. So if you don't use the L2, uh, that L1 will work fine. If you do use the L2, I would love for somebody to school me on the L1 on that, just that one line that actually make it work for them in their favor. Because I do use the entire 10 lines. I'm paying attention. Um, so I do pay attention to that. As for recording, I use the snippet tool. So I have an HP, or and I use Windows. And so I use Snippet to record the L2. So I will, I don't think I have it set up where I can see it, but um, I will come over here and there's a video function on the L2. And what I'll do is I'll just, you know what, let me do this. I'm not sure. Well, I'll show you. It'll just be easier if I show you. I'm gonna find it. I have quite the setup here, so I lose things on different screens. So let me grab it. And I'm not sure if it's going to show me the full. I don't know where it went. Here we go. Oh, there it is. Do you see that? Do you see the snipping tool? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so this is an app that's on my computer that I had downloaded, and so it's just called the snipping tool. And what you do is you can either take a picture or you can take a video. And when you take the video, it'll gray this out, and so I'm not sure if you'll see it. I will go from order book corner here to the bottom of my chart, and I will utilize that to record. So I don't think it's going to let me do it because for whatever reason, it's not popping up. But anyways, I will record this for about 5 minutes, and I will allow it to capture the L2. See, now it's finally doing it. I don't need it right now. What it's doing is I'm having it capture how the L2 works in conjunction to the chart. And then what I'll do is I'll save it. I'll save it something like, this is the Micro E Mini S&P 500. And what I'll do then later is I can go through and match up with how the L2 and the charts function together. And what I like about that is I can pause it. I can go back and review it again, or rewind it, so to speak, and review it again. And it will help me learn how the L2 works and how the chart work together. And so I'll utilize that to do it. I did a lot of this while I was still working, and I would record, 5-minute blips here or there when I could, so that I could go later on in the evening, because when I was just doing stocks, these weren't running. The L2, nothing was running for stocks at night. And so I would lose out on hours of screen time that I could be reviewing data and paying attention to how it works, so that I could come in here the next day and apply what I found to then, have more successful trades, or understanding why the way I got into something, why it didn't work out the way it did. You can also screen record your trades and then go back and review those. And then you'll learn and begin to understand what is happening when you're getting in and out of trades. And if they were in your favor, then you can note why that was in your favor. If it wasn't in your favor, it's the same thing. You can come in here and take notes, and then for next time when you go and you trade again, what to watch for. So that's how and what I use that data for. Yeah, so the volume is slightly different on the future side, I've noticed. So when I'm getting in here, I'm more or less paying attention to the size. Like I'm paying attention to these numbers on the outside to help me identify whether I want to get in and out of something versus the volume, because I noticed too that it's slightly different than what I'm used to in, say, like the pre-market. So I'll pay more attention to that more than anything. And as long as the L2 is moving and it's not stagnant, and you'll be able to tell if this isn't moving, these candles will start to look really thin, like somewhere in this general area. This isn't a good one, but like it'll start to look like grail. And that'll be a good indication for me that there's little to no volume that's going to give it enough movement for me to be enticed to like do some charting on it to potentially get in. Bumblebee, that's a great question. Power hour does affect futures. I have seen it. It definitely does affect it. And I'll add to that too. Any new traders that come in for futures, just as we talk about in the stock education in the morning with Coach, staying out of the trades or out of a trade the first half hour or so of the market open is a great idea. And same goes with at the end of the day, I would say the last half hour, in some cases, depending on which one you're watching, the last hour of the day gets pretty volatile. So be super careful. And I would suggest you just sit on your hands and watch it until you become a master at your skill set. If you're going to get in and out of some of these, because there is some extreme volatility that occurs, especially that last, like, what is it, 10 minutes or so. It gets pretty crazy. So just be mindful of that. Yep. hmm Yep, I'm pretty much scalping 99% of the time. Now I do find myself sitting in a few of these a little bit longer than what I would have normally. But it's because I'm seeing a setup. I'm seeing a different setup than what my intent was. If my intent was just to get in and out, and I still see that I could stay in it, I'm going to choose to stay in it if it's going to allow me to collect more profit. Well, the profit is better, yes, in my opinion, and I can have a smaller position size. So at the end of stocks, any given day, I could be doing between 500 and 1,000 shares at any given point. Over here in futures, I don't need to do that. I don't need to go in so heavy because I don't have that. Uh, I don't have to deal with settled cash. If I'm in the green, I can get out and I can reset and still have the same amount of cash available after each trade, as long as I'm not in the red. But I like the futures because it gives me the opportunity to trade all hours of the day. So now, I mean, I was working before, right? So guys, I'm sure most of you have heard my story. I worked in corporate America for the last nine, it would have been the last 9 months. And I would trade pre-market, and there wasn't an option to do this at night. This would have been really handy if it would have been something I could have done in the evening time too. Now, granted, contracts are more expensive in the evening, so you have to be mindful of that. So you have to have an account that can support those expensive contracts that are in the evening. But it would have given me the opportunity to have more flexibility to trade more than what shares or options offered. So I like that. I like that probably more than anything. That and the fact that uh my cash is always reset. So I like that too. The only downside to futures, and people can look at it one way or the other, downside is the fact that there are fees that are associated when you buy and when you sell. So you have to take into account for that. And then anything else I can think of that might be a fault, getting in here and over trading or revenge trading. I think those two areas are critical. Like you need to know where your limits are. You need to know, where your cutoff is. You need to make sure you're following coach's rules too, to go along with that. And definitely don't revenge trade. So if you find that you're losing a little bit, and you're not sure why, then you need to stop trading real money and go back to paper until you can identify why that's happening. And then if you do have several red trades, don't get in here and revenge trade. Just don't do it. It's not good whether you're doing stocks and options. Don't do it on futures either. Yeah, J video reacts. Yes, there is an audio issue for other people within the Zoom. We're aware of that. We'll fix it. We'll fix it for tomorrow. We're not going to worry about it right now. But thanks for pointing it out. What else do we got? Any other questions out here? Anybody else have any questions in out there? No, you can do stops. So there is a difference between a trailing stop and a stop loss. So I have mine set up here, and you can see it down here in this corner. Let's go to settings. Can you guys see my settings, the settings box? Okay, yeah. So I have my stops to automatically come on, and I would suggest, everyone consider doing that if you haven't done so already. Go ahead and have your stops automatically pop on when you place a trade. That way you're not trying to scramble and create one in process, trying to trade at the same time. So I have my settings set for market, and I currently just have my quantities set at 1. I can go in and update that as I want to, but I have that set up that way. I do have it set up for time and force for the day. I also have last price set up too, and I have last price set up so I can go and get in at support and wait if I choose to. So I have this one set up here. And then I have my stop price for stop loss order set at 15 ticks. Uh, we found 15 to 20, 15 to 25 works pretty good. For those extra volatile stocks like the ES main, yeah, MES main and ES main, where they have more of the volatile the wicks that happen, you want to make sure you have your stops pretty large to support uh, those stops or support um, those candle movements. So I have mine preset. As for the trailing stop, I haven't used one, but I thought I saw an option where you could set one up, and I think it might be manually, but I couldn't be for certain. I'll make a note uh, to look, but I swore I've seen it. I just haven't done it. And maybe it doesn't. I'm not. Okay. That'd be nice if they had it. Oh, no. Be a nice feature to have. That's a good question, Bumblebee. Hey, Aaron, do you know the answer to this question? If there is anything such as a stock or other features you'd watch if you were trading gold. So, like if you watch SPY, like you'd watch the ES. Like, is there one for gold? I don't know the answer. I tend to just trade the trade. Did you guys lose my audio? Yeah, so SPY does for sure. Yeah, we were looking at gold, if there was one for gold. And I haven't done a ton of research for gold. There is a gold ticker for stocks, but I haven't looked at it. Yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. They're great. You guys are asking some great questions today. That's a great question. If you're new, I would be cautious around NES, which is SPY or ES. I would pay attention to, I mean, I would paper trade those along with four. I would do anything else. And then NQ can sometimes be a little bit more aggressive and volatile than others. But those are mine that I would consider being cautious around. I find gold to be pretty predictable in a sense of, coming down to resistance or coming from resistance to support or support to resistance. I find that to be pretty common. Same with crude oil. I find it has predictability too a little bit. And that's obviously if there's not like significant news catalyst that could cause there to be some erratic behavior of the stock or of the contract. For somebody like myself who is I guess a master scalper, NQ is a good one for extreme volatility in my opinion if you want quick in and out opportunities. Like if I'm going to scalp a candle, I may look at the NQ, the MNQ. And if I was going to scalp a candle, like when I say that, I would chart this out and I would be watching for these pops for these candles here. And I'd be using my indicators to help me identify when is a great opportunity to buy and sell that sucker as quick as possible for the maximum amount of profit I can get out of it. So that's what I would use. I would do NQ for that purpose if I was going to do that. Russell's is another one that follows IWM. So if you follow in the morning with the group in the stock education, you'll hear IWM from time to time. You can also follow the E-mini Russell. So that's RTY main. And you can follow along with the group too and with the charting and any kind of information that's given, if there's news catalysts that affect this you'll hear from time to time during that, and you can utilize that information to help you decide whether you want to get in or out of the Russells. Mm, Go back to NQ. I like the movement of this one. I like to watch this sucker. T King asked, how often do you study, practice before you become consistent then profitable? That's a great question. And I think for everyone, that's going to be different because some people are going to pick it up quicker than others, and then vice versa, right? Um, I study damn near every single day. Uh, and especially when I first started, because I had no experience, I literally was eat, sleep, and breathing stocks and all the training material that American Dream Trading had. I was studying it day in and day out until I could figure it out. Because I gave myself 1 year. So when I came in here, I got my yearly membership and I made a plan and I said, okay, I have invested X dollars into this program and it is a great program and I'm giving myself a year to figure this out because that's how long my membership was good for. And so I put the pedal to the floor. I started watching all the videos. I attended all the meetings that I could, or all the Zoom calls that I could. I started it with pre-market early in the day, and then I'd go to work and I'd listen to the Zoom while I was working. And then I would get out at the end of the day and I'd go listen to aftermarket, and then I would study some more in the evening. And I did that for months, months and months and months and months and months. I So then I was paper trading right along with it. So I would come in here and I would paper trade for mechanics because I had no idea what I was doing. When I came in here, I couldn't tell you what a call or a put was. I had no idea. I couldn't even tell you what support and resistance was. I had no idea what any of that was. So I came in here and paper traded also. And I paper traded, and I still to this day remember when I asked in pre-market, I asked Nate and I asked Nate and Mark, how long do I paper trade until I'm ready to go over to real money? And Mark said, if you are going to ask that question, then you are not ready yet. And so to this day, I remember. And so I always reiterate that to everybody. If you have to ask yourself if you're ready, you're probably not. So keep that in mind. So when I was ready finally to go over to real money, I realized really quickly that all the time that I had spent working on my mechanics and paper trading paid off. And I was able to identify really fast that I had a knack for this. And I was able to pick up down at support really far down. And I'm pretty darn good at it. It's weird to say that, but it's true. And to this day. So profitable. I was profitable from the beginning. Now keep that in mind, right? Like I had red trades, but I didn't have red days. And there was a span of time in there where, I think I made it up to 16. I think I made it to 16 or 17 weeks of having nothing but green days before I had a red day. And I was so ticked off the day I had a red day because I couldn't get back. I had something else going on and I wasn't able to dig myself out of the small hole I was in. And it wasn't much. It was like, might have been $50. So it was nothing. But it still ticked me off. Um, it made me angry because I knew better. I got in without charting. And it was just ridiculous. But so and even still today, right? So even with futures, I still take red trades sometimes, but I minimize my risk in making sure that I don't lose more than 1 to 3% of my account. So I utilize those rules. And I have it set up so that I don't have that happen because I'm not in here to blow up my account. I did not work as hard as I did to get it to where it is. I'm getting here and blow it up now. But that's about the time when I I figured out I was pretty profitable from the beginning. And like I said, it doesn't happen that quickly for everybody. Um, this was definitely like one of those one-off situations where I could utilize what I knew and so I was a financial analyst before, and that's what I did for a living. Um, I truly believe that part of that had something to do with me being able to catch data like I could and actually visually see it. So I take that into account for that too. But yeah, so it takes time, right? It's not going to be fast for everybody, but just keep working on your mechanics and study your heart out, right? Like treat this as your job. Some people might be in here for this as just a hobby, like it was originally supposed to be for me. It was literally just to have some extra spending money. I never in my wildest dreams thought that it'd ever get to where it is now. It blows my mind every single day. Like some days I have to like remind myself, like, holy cow, remember when you thought you were just gonna, you know, buy Starbucks coffee and get your manicures? Like that was the intent. And now I don't have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. So it goes without saying that all that screen time and all the hours of studying have truly paid off. Thanks, Kyle. Thank you. Thank you, Bumblebee. Oh, okay, that was fun. All right. What else we got? Any other hands? Yeah, Derek, it is. It is it's a fun scout, truly. I do like NQ. If I could sit here all day long, because if I had the opportunity to sit here all day long and trade, I would probably sit in NQ. You are, that's probably where I would sit. And I'd sit here with my bag of popcorn and I would drink my water and I would scout the crap out of this. That was just good. I like this. What other questions you guys got? We got about 15 minutes left today. What else can I answer for all of you? Yes. Yep. No. No, nothing on the weekend. Yes, and as this continues to grow, like this will have a Zoom at some point that will run all day as we have support for it. So that'll be coming in the future, and stuff as like I said, as we have the support to support it and stuff. So it will come. And then just before, for those of you who are in social media land, there is additional training for our premium members 2 hours before. So it starts at 12 o'clock. So from 12 to 2, uh, yeah, 12 to 2, there is additional training that's done inside our Zoom. And it's a very small group. So you are open to ask questions and there's typically a deeper dive into the analysis side of things. I'll be looking forward to listening to uh, the one from today if there's time to do so to see what that was all about. But we're always training. So, and I encourage like all of our premium members to in the futures lounge to share anything you'd like to go over like the next day, whether it's trading opportunity or just topic in general. I encourage everybody yeah, to come with some information and share so we can continue to, I'm always about the leveling up aspect of things. For me, that's important because I always want to make sure that I'm training all levels too, and bringing on and having people be a part of it that know way more than I do, which I love that. Um, for me, that's the fast track of learning um, what I need to learn to be better at what I'm doing. Also, you guys notice the NQ here keeps bouncing off the 200. You see that? Look at that. Ugh. What size account do you need to trade NQ main? That's a good question. Let's look. NQ main. Well, that is, let's see if I can get this to move. So the initial margin that's needed and looks like it's 24,000. Let me pull this up. The bottom here, it actually tells you. Thank you. I was gonna look for it. Yep, NQ. Oh yeah, I have my sheet right here too. Yeah, 122.10. It's not terrible actually. Those with small accounts who know what they're doing with how to deal with the volatility, like you could make that work out in your favor pretty nicely. You just have to be super careful with the drops that occur. Yes, Bumblebee, it does. What other questions do we got? Anybody? While we wait to see if there's any more questions, promotions that are going on right now. If you buy 6 months of futures, you get 6 months of VIP. So that's a really great sale. For those of us who came in here and got VIP when we first started, I don't know about anybody else, but like I got a huge, but it's a huge amount of training in addition that was amazing, and access to a lot of different um, parts of the Discord with training material that was super helpful. So I encourage anyone and everyone to take advantage of that sale. If the future is growing like it is, and it's going to continue to grow, you get to grow with the futures division. So you get to grow along with us, right? And be a part of it from the beginning, which I think is great as well. I don't know about anybody else, but I like to be a part of things that are fresh and new. And I like to see how those things progress. So I'm excited to watch futures grow over the next year. So that's exciting. As we continue to like wind down, and if I see questions, I'll answer them. I want to take a quick opportunity to just to thank all the moderators that give their time come in here to help support Coach and myself in here as we continue to grow the futures side. It's really exciting to be able to offer this to every single person out there and do the training that right along with each of you. So it's great. Then I also want to thank Coach for giving me the opportunity to come in here and train all of you on his platform. It's a really great opportunity to do so. So I'm very grateful for that as well. And then lastly, but certainly not least, just a reminder to everybody, please, for the love of God, use your stops if you're going to trade, especially at night when you don't have us in your ear preaching to you about using your stops. Make sure you use them so um, you don't have any exponential losses. We obviously don't want to see that happen. And then lastly, but certainly not least, guys, just remember that American Dream Trading and anyone associated with us here are not financial tax or investment advisors. And everything we discuss is for training and education purposes only. And you do not use real money while doing your training. And then please, please, please follow coach's rules that he has established for all of us to get in here so that way we're protecting our investments and while we're growing our portfolios. Please and thank you. And then so I always like to go into the next day with some homework. I encourage each of you to um pick a future, whether it's an NQ if you like the more volatile ones, or something that you like to do in stocks if it's you follow the Dow or the Nasdaq or the S&P, or maybe you follow IWM, so you'd watch the Russells. Pick one of those this week and follow it. Write it in your journal. Make some notes about what you're seeing. Look back at this is a heavy earnings week, so we're going to see an increase in volatility in some aspects. I can assure you we will see that, and just make some notes. Uh, Write down what you're seeing that's happening and review it. And then later this week, at the end of the week, go back and look at your notes and see what you find. You'll find some little gold nuggets that you've created for yourself and you didn't even realize it. And then you can utilize that to your advantage going into the next earnings and next set of earnings, or just going into the next week to see how not being earnings week for majority and how earnings affect it versus weeks where there are no earnings that it will affect what the difference is between the two. So make yourself a note. I'm going to do the same thing. So this week I'm going to focus on NQ. That's going to be my homework. I'm going to record the L2 data to support it. I'm going to review some candles so I can sharpen my candle knowledge. And I'm actually also working on being more diligent and using the 2-minute EWO, which is a strategy that I haven't done on a regular basis. I could set one up, but I haven't actually traded one before. So we'll spend the last few minutes here watching NQ. Let's see what it does here. And you have your hand up. Sorry, I didn't see it till just now. Absolutely. I will make a note and we will talk about that tomorrow. Absolutely. Biggest thing you could start with today with journaling is, you make a note of whatever it is you're getting in and out of. So like if you're going to do NQ, you just say, NQ, you got in NQ. And like I said, we'll cover this again tomorrow, but NQ, you got in there, was it a successful trade? Was it not? And if it was, how come? If it wasn't, do you know why? And if there's anything that you could like notate, that could potentially be better for you the next day and when you are getting back into a trade again or the next trade. How does it make you feel when you trade? So like when you're in reference to like position size. So if you're going in and out with one, like, if it's a volatile stock, how does it make you feel while you're in that trade? Does it make you a little nervous? Or are you a little hesitant? Maybe you're hesitant to stay in or to get out. If you're doing more than one contract, if say you're doing 10, how does that make you feel when you're in there with 10? Does it make your palms sweaty, right? Does it make your heart race a little bit? Which might be an indication that you're in too heavy and you're not quite ready for it. Or, did it go really well? And have you been doing it for a while? If you're doing 10 contracts, maybe it's time that you can increase your position size. So that's just how I journal. I can overdo it sometimes, but really what I'm paying attention to is I want to know how it's making me feel. And if I can't identify, if I get in a trade and it's red, If I can't identify why it may or may not have worked for me, uh, then I really need to like take a step back and decide whether I need to go back to paper trading until I can understand why I should have stayed in it or why I shouldn't have. So those are some different things to think about when you're writing in your journal. I still like to overdo it. For me, the more information I provide myself, the better. Uh, but it's just going to make me a better trader later. All right, guys, any more questions? Yes. Yeah, I do like this film too. I do enjoy it very much. Sure. Well, as we get ready to wind down, everybody, thank you all for coming today. It was super exciting. Thank you for sticking around through all the challenges that we've had the last few days with getting everything set up and ready to go for all of you guys. Every day it gets easier and easier to come in here and fire up everything and hit the ground running. Again, want to just take a quick opportunity to thank all the moderators again, the third time now, for all of the time and effort you guys are helping out with. I appreciate all of you very much. Of course, Coach, thank you for giving me this chance to come in here and assist you with the future side of things. And I look forward to helping this grow. So I will make sure you guys are putting your questions in the Discord for tomorrow if you want, and we can cover some more things. We'll talk about journaling and some more charting, and we'll go through some more futures contracts tomorrow. You guys all have a super awesome evening.